Hello, people. If you've been here before, welcome back. This is the first time you're here. My name is Humberto Pina, and this is my channel. This is a series of video tutorials for people who want to get better score in the TOEFL test. They can be taken by independently students who work on their own, or if you're taking a TOEFL preparation course, they can help you reinforce whatever you see in class. We are in the structures and written expressions section of the TOEFL test. And we're going to move on to work with skill 38. Skill 38, we recognize active and passive meanings. We're working with the pronouns with passive voice. And skill 37, we're able to recognize the correct form of the passive voice. And now we'll talk about the meanings. When there is no object, with or without by after the verb, you must look at the meaning of the sentence to determine if the verb should be active or passive. Sentences with an incorrect passive verb and no by plus object tell you that the verb should be passive are the most difficult passive errors to recognize on the test. Look at these examples. We mailed the package at the post office, right? So active voice, subject, we, what did we do? We mailed what? The package. The letter was mailed by us the day before noon. So notice that now we changed to passive voice, focusing on the letter, the action, mail. What did the action, or by whom was the action done? By us. The letter was mailed the day before noon. Okay. So we got the correct form, the verb be, these two sentences, and the past participle form mail. The last one, the letter mailed today before is incorrect because we don't have any form of the verb be here. So the first three examples above are correct. The first example has the active verb mail used with the object package. The second example has the passive verb was mailed used with by us. And the third sentence has the passive verb was mailed used without an object. We don't know who mailed the letter. Doesn't matter. It's important is that the letter was mailed. The fourth example is the type of passive error that appears most often in tests. This type of sentence has the following characteristics. One, an incorrect passive verb that looks like a correct active verb. And two, no by plus object to tell you that a passive is needed. To correct the fourth example, the active verb needs to be changed to the passive was mailed. To determine that such a sentence is incorrect, you must study the meaning of the subject and the verb. You must ask yourself if the subject does the action of the verb, so an active verb is needed, or if the subject receives the action of the verb, so a passive verb is needed. In the incorrect example, you should study the meaning of the subject and verb, the letter mail, is correct. You should ask yourself if a letter mails itself, the letter does the action, or if someone mails a letter, the letter receives the action of the mail. Since a letter does not mail itself, the passive is required in the cells. So here we have a chart which outlines the differences in meaning between active and passive verbs. Active, the subject does the action of the verb. Passive, the subject receives the action of the verb. Right? So now we move on to the exercise. Exercise 38. Each of the following sentences contains at least one active verb. However, some verbs should be passive. So we're going to underline the words twice that indicate the sense are correct or incorrect. Let's look at the examples. The car parked in a no parking zone. Right, we got park there. Now the car does not park itself, so it needs to be parked, right? So we require a passive voice here. So it should be the car was parked in a no parking zone. Number two, the physics exam began just a few minutes ago. Okay, so the subject, exam began. This is active voice. We don't need any form of the verb be. This is passive. Okay. All right. Now it's time for you to pause the video, do the exercise, and then come back. And we're going to check your answers. So pause the video now, and I'll be here when you come back. All right, now that you're back, it says, everything to organize the picnic has already done. Okay, so here we're missing something here because it should be has already been done, right? In passive voice, not active voice. So this is incorrect. The police investigated him because of his initial actions. Okay, we got the subject, we got the verb. This is active voice. This is correct. The package containing the necessary samples has just sent. Okay, so the package doesn't send itself, so this should be in passive voice. It should be has just been sent. So it's incorrect. The vacation to Europe will plan carefully before the scheduled departure date. The vacation doesn't plan itself. You need somebody to plan the vacation. So here it should be passive voice, and it should be will be planned. So it's incorrect. The coffee turned bitter when it left on the stove for so long. Okay, so this is okay. Subject, verb, but it left. The coffee doesn't leave itself on the stove, so this should be passive voice. It was left on the stove for somebody, by somebody. So it should be was left on the stove. The soccer game won in the closing minutes. Really? The soccer game won? No. Somebody played the soccer game. Somebody won that game. So it should be the soccer game was in the closing minutes. Also in passive voice. The clothes made to arrive the latest fashion of the season. Again, the clothes don't make themselves. Somebody makes the clothes. So, it should be passive voice. Like the clothes were made to arrive the latest fashion. So it's season. When the roads are icy, the buses do not drive. The buses don't drive. Buses are driven. So this should also be passive voice. And it should be when the roads are icy, the buses are not driven. So take a look at the answers compared to what you did. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I'll get back to you. Okay. All right. So if you found this information useful, give it a thumbs up. That really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Consider subscribing so the channel can get bigger and stronger. And if you know anybody that can benefit from this type of tutorials, please share it with them. Okay, these are free tutorials for people online. So go ahead and share. So thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video.